You do not build companies, you buy them. Then you remove everything that makes them human. The newspapers call it restructuring. Employees call it a massacre. Your investors call it alpha. You arrive in New York with one Navy suitcase and a student loan, balance larger than your parents' house. The city doesn't care. Neither do you. You are 24 years old, two cheap suits from Men's Warehouse, a second-hand ThinkPad, a mattress on the floor in a midtown apartment, shared with three other analysts who survive almost entirely on seamless and caffeine. Every morning starts before sunrise. Every night ends after midnight. Excel becomes your native language. You stop measuring time in days. You measure it in deals. At first, the work feels glamorous. Conference rooms on the 47th floor, steak dinners you can't afford, executives who fly private. The illusion lasts 6 months. Then you realize something. Nobody in this business creates value. They move it, like organized crime with PowerPoint presentations. You learn quickly, faster than everyone else. You don't complain. You don't sleep. You don't ask questions. You become useful. Useful people get promoted. At 28, you're making more money than your father ever did. At 30, you make more than your entire hometown combined. The bonus hits your account on a Thursday. 7 figures. You stare at the number. You feel nothing. By now you've learned the first law of money. The target always moves. The apartment becomes a penthouse. The Rolex becomes a Patek Philippe. Business class becomes Gulfstreams. Nothing changes. The hunger remains. That is why private equity is dangerous. The money is never the reward. Winning is, and winning requires victims. Your first acquisition is a manufacturing company in Ohio, founded in 1968, family-owned, 3 generations, 900 employees. The founder's portrait hangs in the lobby. Everyone knows everyone. The workers bring their children to company picnics. The CEO tears up during the sale announcement. You don't. You only see numbers. Margins below industry average. Excess labor costs. Underutilized facilities. Operational inefficiencies. You memorize the language. The language makes everything easier because nobody gets fired. Labor costs get optimized. Nobody loses health care. Benefits get restructured. Nobody loses their livelihood. Headcount gets rationalized. The words create distance. Distance protects the conscience. 3 months later, 400 people are gone. A quarter of the town loses its income. The local diner closes. The hardware store follows. Property values collapse. You never visit Ohio again. You still collect your performance bonus. The investors love you. Pension funds, university endowments, sovereign wealth funds, people who never meet the workers, people who only see quarterly returns. The numbers look beautiful, so they give you more money, billions, then tens of billions. You become known inside the industry, not publicly. The public never learns your name. Private equity prefers shadows. The best operators are invisible. The newspapers report to the acquisition, the layoffs, the lawsuits, the protests. But your name remains buried on page 17 of a regulatory filing. Nobody reads. Exactly where you want it. By 35, you're no longer an employee. You're a partner. The economics change. Now every decision affects your personal fortune. 1,000 layoffs might mean another yacht. Another acquisition might mean another house. You stop thinking in dollars. You think in basis points. A single percentage point becomes millions, then tens of millions, then hundreds. The game becomes addictive, not because of greed, Because of power. You discover that money is only stored power, the ability to alter reality, to shut down factories, to replace CEOs, to move thousands of lives with a signature. Politicians claim they run the country. You know better. Governments move slowly. Capital moves instantly. You begin flying constantly. New York, London, Frankfurt, Singapore, Dubai, private terminals, black SUVs, hotel suites that all look identical. Entire years disappear. One morning you wake up in Switzerland and genuinely cannot remember what country you fell asleep in. The money keeps arriving. The houses multiply. Manhattan, Aspen, Miami, the Hamptons. Properties become trophies. You spend less than 10 nights a year in most of them. Your assistant manages your life. Your lawyer manages your assets. Your accountant manages your taxes. Everyone manages something, except you. You manage companies, and companies are made of people, which means eventually you manage pain. You become famous in boardrooms. The moment your firm's name appears in a transaction, executives panic. Middle managers update their resumes. Employees whisper in parking lots. Everyone knows what comes next. Cut, sell, merge, extract, repeat. The process becomes mechanical, almost industrial. You acquire a retailer, close 200 stores, acquire a hospital network, reduce staffing ratios, acquire a software company, replace half the workforce with offshore contractors. The spreadsheet always approves. The spreadsheet never attends funerals. Years pass. The fortune grows. So does the silence. Friends become rare. Trust becomes impossible. Every relationship starts to feel transactional. Every conversation sounds like negotiation. You cannot remember the last time someone wanted something other than access. Access to capital. Access to influence. Access to your network. Even your calendar becomes a battlefield. Your children learn to recognize you through FaceTime. Birthdays become scheduling conflicts. Anniversaries become obligations. Family becomes another asset requiring maintenance. One evening, your daughter asks what exactly you do. You start explaining. Halfway through, you realize something. You have no honest answer, because the truth sounds terrible. You buy companies. You cut them apart. You sell the pieces. You get rich. There is no inspirational version, no heroic framing, no founder mythology, just arithmetic. For the first time in years, the thought stays with you, but not for long. The next morning, another deal arrives. Bigger than any before, a legendary American company, household name, 100-year history, tens of thousands of employees. The transaction value exceeds $20 billion, the largest opportunity of your career. The boardroom feels electric. Everyone wants the deal. The models project extraordinary returns. The consultants agree. The bankers agree. The lawyers agree. The investors agree. Only one person disagrees. The founder's grandson. He looks directly at you, then asks a question nobody has asked in years. What happens to the people? The room goes silent, because everyone already knows the answer, including him, including you, especially you. The deal closes. The restructuring begins. Thousands lose their jobs. The stock price rises. Financial media celebrates the efficiency gains. Investors celebrate the returns. You celebrate nothing, because something has changed. You are 43 years old, worth hundreds of millions, flying home on a private jet crossing the Atlantic, 30,000 feet above the ocean, surrounded by leather seats, fine whiskey, complete silence. And suddenly you understand the final law of money. Money solves every problem except meaning. The cabin is larger than your first apartment, more luxurious than any place your grandparents ever lived, yet somehow emptier. You think about the towns, the factories, the hospitals, the stores, the names you've forgotten, the faces you've never learned, the people who became line items, the people who paid for your success. Nobody forced you. Nobody tricked you. You chose it. Every promotion, every deal, every signature. You built exactly the life you wanted. That is the uncomfortable part. The machine didn't consume you. You became the machine. Tomorrow, another acquisition will arrive, another company, another workforce, another spreadsheet, and everyone in the room will ask the same question: how much value can be extracted? Nobody will ask how much humanity remains, not because they don't know, because they do. And in private equity, knowing the cost is part of the job. You land in New York before dawn. The skyline glows gold through the cabin window. Beautiful, distant, untouchable. Your phone vibrates. New deal, new target, new victims. The car is already waiting on the tarmac, and despite everything, you get in.